Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Jones, and I'm delighted that you're tuning in today to this live Heartfulness session. So, look, I call myself an experience sharer because really that's what I do. I've had many decades of practice in heartfulness meditation, and I've had so many beautiful experiences. And, when you do anything for that long a period of time, you do gain a lot of experience of all kinds. And so what I do is speak from my heart and just share with you, the ups and downs that I've experienced, uh, the special spiritual moments that I've had, and some of the journeys that I've had with my spiritual uh, guides. I share that as well. So, and that's what I do here. So, look, today I thought I wanted to talk about something really basic, and that is why should we meditate? Well, it sounds like a very basic question. And look, if we read things online about meditation, or if you're new to meditation, the things that we often hear are, "Oh, okay, we're going to have a more peaceful mind. Our thoughts will reduce and we'll be calmer. We meditate so that we can reduce our level of stress. We can reduce anxiety." We always point to things that we're seemingly trying to correct in ourselves. But from my experience, I want to go deeper than that. Okay, for the reason that we actually meditate is because we have an overwhelming, deep, compelling longing that we're looking for something more. That's really the reason. We really feel that something is not complete in ourselves. We're not living the fullness of who we really want to be. Can you relate to that? That's really the reason why we look for something like meditation. Now, will meditation help us relax? Will meditation help us to, have moments when we're having less thoughts? Will meditation help us to reduce stress over time? Yes, it will help us with all of those things. But it will be much, much, much more than that. What we're really doing is we're trying to uncover the ultimate self, the ultimate person that we are. We're trying to really unlock all of our hidden potentials. We're trying to really come to an understanding that we are so much more than these thoughts and so much more than just this physical form that we think we are. We're really spiritual beings. And I think there was this beautiful saying that I think Oprah made it very popular, but I don't know who originally said it. But we're not uh, human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So when we really approach meditation from this perspective, there's so much more that becomes available to in our awareness. We start to become aware of other sides of ourselves that get unlocked through this process. And what is the process? Well, the process is that we're consciously choosing to rest our mind. We're making a conscious choice that now I'm going to sit down and I'm going to let my thoughts settle. And at first, that's very frustrating because the mind rebels. I talked about this last week. But when we make the conscious choice to let it settle, it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you start to feel something new. You start to allow yourself to rest in a different state of mind. And that state of mind is, we call it the meditative state. And it's so peaceful. And it's only really when we consciously choose to rest in this meditative state that we can experience a sense of wholeness, a sense of unity, which is really the meaning of the word yoga, to unite, to be united. We experience that when we choose to practice meditation. And so I would answer the question, why should we meditate? I'll answer it this way. We should meditate in order to change our future. That is the reason. Now, if you think about this, we go on with our life, our daily life, our family life, our jobs, and we go through our life, and every day, we face joys, we face sadness, we face all different types of situations. But all of the experiences that we accumulate since the moment that we're born, they cause us to think in patterns. They cause us to act and react in patterns. We all know that there's certain things that will trigger us. It's maybe something someone says, or maybe someone has a different point of view than we have. And in those situations, we feel, this wall coming up inside that, wait a minute, we want to defend ourselves. We want to defend our thoughts, our opinions. We want to react in a certain way. Now, when we go through life, just going on like that, we accumulate more and more of these, life impressions, and we strengthen all of these patterns that we're living in and living through. And those have such an influence on us. And if we don't take any action, to change that, we reach a point, we hear that common phrase, that person's become set in their ways. We often hear that about someone who's maybe become older and set in their way of doing things, set in their opinions. We all become set in our ways. And when that happens, then that's all we become. Our future becomes only a repetition of our past over and over again. So we have to do something to change our future. Well, how do we change our future? When we meditate, we break this cycle of influences, and we allow ourselves to feel the completeness, the wholeness, the unity that is our real nature. And when we allow ourselves to do that, and when we practice this on a daily basis, we are changing our future. We are completely changing our future. We're interrupting those same old patterns and providing ourselves an opportunity to go behind those thoughts, behind what we think about who we are, and to discover the great, beautiful, divine presence within. That's really what we're doing in meditation. And when we have experiences of that, and you will have experiences of that, your life becomes so rich. And we start to become more hopeful. And we start to look at life with fresh eyes. And we start to receive fresh inspirations, new ideas. And we become less afraid of pursuing things that maybe we wouldn't have pursued before. We start to overcome our fears. We start to become courageous. All of that is the real reason why we should learn to meditate and take it up as a daily practice. It's to unlock the fullness and the full potential of who we really are, and to break those patterns, those limitations. So that's my own personal experience of this. I can't imagine who I would have been today if I wouldn't have taken up this path of meditative practice. I would be someone very different. And I've been doing this now, Heartfulness, I've been doing it for about 45 years. And what I want to tell you is, look, every single day, even after 45 years, is such a blessing and is so new and fresh and wonderful. And when you do this every day, you start to experience a sense of contentment. It's something beyond just happiness. Happiness is great. Happiness comes and goes. We'll still have plenty of happy moments, believe me. But something deeper and more profound starts to become our real base of operations. That's a feeling of deep contentment. Now, yes, life will throw different things at us and we'll be challenged, but we'll be so much more equipped to deal with the difficulties of life when we're not reacting, when we're not so reactionary to everything that comes our way. So these are the benefits and the changes that occur by, evoking this deeper presence within. Okay, so last week I spoke about relationships. This week I spoke about meditation, why we should do it. But I just want to mention that last week there were some questions that came in that were sent to me. And so I wanted to take up some of these questions because they're really good questions. And they actually relate to what I was just talking about. Okay, so someone asked, is being restless to meditate a good thing? Well, this is just what I was saying, okay? If you really feel restless to meditate, it just goes to show that we're anxious to experience a state of contentment, right? So being restless to meditate is the whole key. That's a great sign. Now, I want to share something from my experience, and this is maybe really something a little different. This is going to be like a tip. How do we motivate ourselves? How do we move ourselves through inner states of consciousness? How do we reach subtler states of consciousness? How do we reach things that we give these words to, states of enlightenment, states of God realization, states of self-realization? There's so many words that we use. And all of those words represent the fact that we're starting from a place where we're very much associated with our thoughts and our emotions and our feelings. And we want to move to a place that those words represent, which it means that we're moving to a place where we're not associating with our thoughts and our emotions and our feelings. We are now reaching a state, a very high state of subtle consciousness. And that those subtlest states of consciousness are what we call divine states of consciousness. How do we reach those? Well, this relates to this idea of restlessness, because it's been my own personal experience that, look, in the physical realm, the physical moves the physical, right? I have to use my hand to pick up my phone. I can't just use my thought and say, "Oh, phone, please come over here. I need you." My phone's not going to come over. That would be great if it did. Maybe in the future we'll be able to do that. I don't know. Okay, so in the physical, the thought, physical moves the physical. But what happens in our consciousness? Well, consciousness, we move through these different states of consciousness by feeling. And when we can evoke a feeling of restlessness, or a feeling of longing, or a feeling of craving, that is the very thing which propels us inwardly towards these higher states that we can experience. So a feeling of restlessness is, normally we don't like feeling restless, but it itself is actually a really wonderful thing to feel. We should feel restless. Restless to what? Restless to evolve, to change, to grow. We should be restless. So restlessness is great. And it's funny, because when I talk about that we should feel content, this is the paradox. We have a feeling of contentment, and yet there is restlessness alongside of it, where we always feel like we're enthused and propelled to move ahead. And yet we're also content in that we're satisfied that we're on the right track. Okay, another question. What is the best time to meditate? Okay, this is a beginner question. My spiritual guide, Parthasarathi, we know him as Chariji. I spent many decades with him. Every year I would spend time with him. Someone asked him once, "What is the best meditation?" And he gave the absolute best answer. He said, "The best meditation is the one that you do." So the best meditation is the one that we do. So this means that, look, let's not worry about all the details. Let's first meditate. Now, is there a best time to meditate? Well, look, the best time to meditate is the time that you are able to meditate, right? I could tell you, the best time to meditate is rise before dawn and meditate before dawn because that's the best time to meditate. But look, if you can't do that, then that's not the best time to meditate for you, right? So don't worry about that. We should not stress over doing things perfectly. Don't worry about that. One of our other spiritual guides in Heartfulness, Babaji, who I was so fortunate to meet back in the early days in 1980 and 1982, I got to meet him. He gives the most beautiful, encouraging sort of tip for our spiritual path. And you can find this in one of what are called the 10 maxims, which are really 10, they're tips in a way of how we can mold our daily living to, evoke the best practice for ourselves. Well, I want to talk about this maxim 3. I'm not going to talk about it today, but I just want to say that something he explains in there. He says that we have to convince the divine of our earnestness of purpose. Wow. We have to convince the divine of our earnestness of purpose. Now, here's the beauty of this. What do we mean by divine? Well, we're really talking about our highest self within, our true nature. Who are we trying to convince of our earnestness of purpose? Is ourself, our conscience, right? So we're trying to be sincere in our practice. So Babaji says we need to have earnestness of purpose. So he's not saying we have to be perfect. If we were perfect already, we wouldn't be having to take up any practices. So earnestness of purpose just means we have to be sincere, right? We can't fool ourselves when it comes to our spiritual journey. We have to be sincere with our intentions. So when we're sincere with our intentions, we're earnest in our intention of practice. It doesn't mean we have to have perfect practice. Our spiritual guide knows that. Chariji also said, the shepherd knows his flock. So it's been my experience that it's not about being perfect in your practice. It's just about being sincere in our efforts. I don't think I've ever been perfect in my practice. I mean, maybe there were years when I really was doing all the pieces and parts, but, I was always sincere. So the best time to meditate is when you're able to do it. What is the difference when we sleep during meditation and the sleep we get when we sleep? It's all good, okay? We are in a restful state when we meditate. At night, we're in a restful state. Now, I've been involved with 3 different clinical studies on meditation, and these were done in a sleep lab, okay, where they study the effects of sleep, and they put, like 60 electrodes all over me. And then they asked me to meditate, and they asked me to conduct a sitting with someone, and asked me to receive a sitting. And basically what they show is that a meditator, someone who's been practicing a long time, is able to slow the mind down, and they measure what happens in the mind as the sleep states. The delta state, for example, is a very deep state of sleep. A meditator can reach that state within just a few minutes' time. So, in effect, is there a difference between the rest that we're receiving when we meditate and the rest we're receiving when we sleep? Clinically, no, there isn't. But I would say that when we have a deep, deep meditation, and believe me, when you're going deep in meditation, you're really likely not going to sleep. You're experiencing a state of samadhi, a state of deep meditation. I find that to be more restful even than sleep state. So we can utilize that consciously. We can choose to rest our mind and have that beautiful sense of deep sleep, and yet also be aware at times. So all these are reasons why we should meditate. And with that, I think we should meditate together. Now, a lot of people drop off right now. A lot of you will drop off because you won't really meditate with me. I get it. Okay? Meditation part is the doing part, and the doing part is often the boring part. And you got a lot of other things on your mind that you want to do today. And you're thinking about them right now. Do I really want to meditate here with Brian for 15 minutes? I got a lot of stuff to do. That's what you're thinking. But why don't you instead think to yourself, maybe there's something special about this. Maybe there's something more that I need to really try. Can I really take just 15 minutes now and meditate and see what this is all about? So that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to just set this thing, just put it down. Turn it off. Set it aside. Let's not think about the next thing that we've got coming up in our day. And let's instead have a new experience together, something that we've never experienced before. And this beautiful practice of heartfulness will help you to go deep in meditation and experience that peace. So let's get started. Please sit comfortably. Gently close your eyes. And let's take a slow, deep breath together. And let it go. Feel your body relaxing. You can already start to feel a sense of unity just by closing your eyes and taking a deep breath. Now I'd like you to bring your awareness out of your head and let it drop down and rest on your heart. Just rest on your heart. And now let's make the thought that there's a source of light, source of our life, source of love, It's already there present in our heart. And we just want to connect with that. So rest on the source of light that's already there present in your heart. And feel that it's drawing you inwards. We don't have to imagine a light. Just know that the source is there within. If any thoughts are arising, don't struggle with them. Just return to the source of light already present in the heart and feel it's drawing you inwards. Let's stay with that thought. That's all. So just take a moment and observe how you're feeling now. How did you feel before meditation, and how are you experiencing the meditative state now? And you can gently open your eyes. See, now how easy that was. I hope that you were able to feel a sense of calm and peace. And I encourage you to take up a practice of meditation daily. Don't worry about doing all of the parts of it perfectly. Just start someplace. Start with even 5 minutes of meditation and work up to 10 minutes and 15 minutes. And if you can connect with a trainer in Heartfulness, I really recommend that. That's the very best way to connect with someone. They'll meditate with you and give you guidance on how to improve your own practice. And all of that is free of charge. So please be sure to connect. And with that, I thank you for joining me today. And I really look forward to being there next week with you. All the best, and stay with the heart.